So we are now ready to discuss two-dimensional optical waveguide. So two-dimensional optical waveguide means sometimes we do confuse. It looks like that light will be guided in two dimension. It is not like that. It will be confined in two direction, and third direction it will be propagating. So now if you just see that what sort of 2D waveguide we can imagine or we know so far being used in integrated optical circuits or photonic integrated circuits. So first thing is that first type of waveguide, it's something called buried waveguide. You have a substrate and something like this. The part of substrate cross-sectional view it is shown, and you can have a certain region you modify refractive index, okay, and that refractive index will be higher than the surrounding region. Top, it can be air, it can be something else. So this type of waveguide, this is a cross section where light can be confined. This is your substrate. So this type of waveguide is called buried waveguide, or so-called channel waveguide also sometimes it is called. Buried waveguide. You should also think of that the axis direction, this can be considered as a so-called your y, and this can be your x, right? And then this direction it can be z. Okay, is that fine? That means your cross section is in xy plane and waveguide is jet propagating. So we say that this is a jet propagating waveguide. Now another type of waveguide, this can be completely different material, and it is a step type refractive index. And another type of waveguide we can think of like this. You have a window opening and then you just do some kind of diffusion doping and so on. That type of this actually this is showing some refractive index profile. So at the surface it will be higher, in this point it will be higher. If you go along y direction or along x direction, refractive index will be reducing. Slowly it will be reducing to the substrate refractive index. So this type of waveguide is called diffused or again channel waveguide also. Again xy direction, xy plane cross section it is shown, and jet propagating waveguide. This waveguide normally you can think of silicon nitride core, Si3N4, and silicon dioxide as a cladding material you can think of. And this type of waveguide, it is actually titanium indiffused lithium niobate, very popular. One example I am giving, lithium niobate crystal, titanium is indiffused, solid state diffusion can take place at higher temperature, and sometimes also it is a proton exchange. Proton, that means H plus. If you dip lithium niobate in weak acid like benzoic acid, then lithium ion will be substituted by hydrogen ion. That is hydrogen H plus, it's called proton. So this is actually proton exchanged lithium niobate waveguide. Sometimes it is also called APE, annealed proton exchange waveguide. So they are very popular for modulator modulator circuit or modulator integrated optical modulator. And then another type of waveguide, we call it as a strip waveguide. cross section, if you see, that will be like this, and then you can have some patterned cross section. You just pattern like this, and then you can say consider something like this, some cladding material you can have, something like this. You can do that. Okay, some cladding material that can be same height. Okay, so this can be a substrate, and maybe you can have some other material in between, lower refractive index, and then you have another material in the top, higher refractive index, and that will be core. And that type of waveguide is called strip waveguide. Strip waveguide. It can be, the upper cladding can be air also. Okay, so in this case it can be Si3N4 silicon nitride as a core and silicon dioxide as a cladding, or silicon dioxide air. That means cladding can be top cladding. This is a bottom cladding, this is a top cladding, this is a bottom cladding, and top cladding also can be air. So these are the first thing is the core. This thing can be core material, and where titanium indeed fused core material, silicon nitride core materials. So that is strip waveguide. And the other type of waveguide, also popular, similar type of thing. Only difference with this strip waveguide is that you have some kind of slab region you leave. Okay, that is actually your something oxide, and then you have substrate, and then you have something slab will be there. So they are very popular for silicon, silicon on insulator structure, for modulator circuit and many other application it is used. And then you can have top cladding also. So this is actually called Reeb or Ridge waveguide structure. Ridge waveguide structure. Okay, this is also same type of material you can consider. So these are the typical planar waveguide structure. Sorry, typical 2D waveguide structure used for planar light wave circuits, for integrated photonics or photonic integrated circuits. Okay, so now you see we want to analyze this type of waveguides. So any sort of cross section is there. So if such cross section is there, it is clear that you have the dielectric constant. Okay, that is epsilon r. Epsilon r is varying in 2 dimension. Dielectric constant is varying in xy direction. Along z direction, it's not varying. It's a, that is the direction it is actually propagating. That is the propagation direction of the waveguide. So when this is varying like this, we can say that refractive index epsilon r means relative dielectric constant, that is square to your refractive index. So that is actually only xy dependency is there. Okay, so such variation if it is there, that means this region one type of you have xy plane. Along the xy plane you can define which region what type of dielectric constant, what type of refractive index you can actually define. So if this type of cross-sectional distribution and z direction it is no variation is there, they are called actually jet propagating waveguide. Okay, jet propagating waveguide. It can be x propagating if your cross section is yz. Okay, that is depends on your things. Now suppose you solve this waveguide to find the mode, the number of modes, guided mode field distributions, and their propagation constants or effective indices, etc. you want to find out. The first question is that if I ask you that suppose a guided mode is there, okay, a guided mode is there that has electric field and that has also magnetic field. Okay, some from our knowledge of 1D waveguide, we know there will be certain distributions will be there, right? And distribution, some pattern will be there, and that pattern will remain constant along Z direction because Z propagating waveguide. So certain pattern you will see, and that pattern distribution will be, in this case, since it is 2D waveguide, that pattern must be actually XY dependent. So we write this one, some XY dependencies will be there, and we say that if it is some kind of mode number I am just considering, M, right? M will be like this, XY pattern will be there, and then you will have a phase part J omega t minus B.
Hello.
Huh?
Sorry,
Hello?
got stuck in the middle.
Oh, presentation gone. It's okay.
Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
I don't know. It was automatic. It was not because of me. I think maybe internet gone or something like that. So now H also corresponding magnetic field, that will be also having some components. You can write Hm xy and e to the power j omega t minus beta m z. So for a mth mode, if there are solutions for guided modes, and mode index we are just writing like m, similar to 1D waveguide, then that mode will have electric field component as well as magnetic field component. So this mth mode electric field component I just shown here will have some kind of profile in the xy plane, similar to the magnetic field also, xy plane, some distribution will be there, and that particular pattern actually propagate along z direction with a propagation constant beta m. M stand for again the mode index, and omega monochromatic particular frequency I'm just considering now. So any question? This is actually we are considering a propagating mode or guided mode. That type of thing you expect from our knowledge of 1D waveguide analysis. If I solve any waveguide cross section of one of these geometry using Maxwell's equation, I expect solution for guided modes in this form. So my target is that how to find this distribution and their components, their vector basically, EMXY, that is vector and distribution. I need to know what is the distribution, and that distribution related to individual components, and magnetic field, their distribution, individual components, and all these components will have a same phase factor. All these electric field components, magnetic field components, whatever their distribution is along xy plane, but they are supposed to have a same phase velocity, because along z direction their profile does not change. Only they change the time variations as well as length variations. Okay, so one thing it is clear that this is a vector, and we need to find out what are the vector components are existing or not, how many components will be there, and what would be the profile. At the same time, for that particular profile, what is the value of beta m for a given omega. Okay, omega beta relationship, that is important for us. So any question till this point? You accept that the solutions must be, for mth mode, the solution must be in this form. We need to find out that solution. Okay, so now let's move on. So from this assumption, if I just see that, if I just summarize that, if I just make a derivative with respect to z, double derivative, okay, what would be the value? If I just make a partial derivative, electric field solutions are given. I'm not just putting mth mode, for example, at this point of time. I'm just considering just any arbitrary field. So because it is restricted to a particular mode, I'm not just writing m. It need not to write m. It can be m equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 or whatever. So I'm just dropping that index. Okay. So if I just make a derivative, what are we supposed to get? Anyone?
Beta square.
Yeah. So it will be minus beta square, right?
Yes, sir.
Minus beta square e. Of course, this e, you should always keep in mind that that will be a function of x, y, and xy dependencies will be there, and z dependencies e to the power minus beta z is there, and time dependencies, all these are there. So I am doing just partial derivative. That means only operator that eigenvalue is a minus beta square, right? So similarly, if I try to find delta b, whatever the component exists for the same mode, okay, that will be also equal to minus beta square b, right? That also it can be function of this thing we can write. Now one more thing, you will come to know why I am just writing down this. Suppose if I write delta n xy, this is n, this is xy, refractive index profile. If I try to find out del z, what would be the value? Partial derivative of refractive index,
0.
because z direction it is not varying at all. So I can write this thing. Okay, this thing I will be using later on. How? Because earlier we have discussed, before I started 1D waveguide analysis using Maxwell's equation, we have derived two vector wave equations. You remember that? I'm just writing down those vector wave equation for electric field. This one plus omega square c square epsilon r electric field plus del E dot delta epsilon r by epsilon r, that is equal to 0. That is the vector wave equation for electric field. And another vector wave equation, I have delta square b plus omega square c square epsilon r b plus delta epsilon r cross curl of b. So second equation only involves magnetic field, and first equation only involves electric field. So let us just define, this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. And this equation I need to solve assuming epsilon r is xy dependent. Okay, variation is xy dependence, I should keep in mind. It can vary, it can be graded, it can be step type or whatever, but if you see the entire cross section of the waveguide, you have core higher refractive index and cladding lower refractive index region. So entire region you have to solve. So this equation need to be solved considering your entire cross section like this. So you just consider certain area, cross sectional area, and then you can get your solution. Okay, all this area you can consider, and then we need to find out what is the solutions. Okay, so now I will just try to simplify this based on our assumption of the equation we have assumed. Okay, let us try to see. I have one important factor is this one. Epsilon r is somewhat, we know that we have just, that is given to you, that you can define. where is what refractive index, what is the dimension, depending on your technology, depending on your fabrication. You know what is the refractive index profile. That is given to you, that is known. Okay, that can be technology dependent, but of course, because technology is it is your technology, you should be knowing that. Now if I just try to say find what is the value of this one, I can write something like this, right? So obviously numerator is a vector, because del operator is a vector, right? We know del operator is ax del x plus ay del y plus az del z. So this is a vector, but nevertheless, if I just consider del means some kind of derivative along x, y, z direction. Simply, n is also xy dependency is there, this one, and xy dependency is there. Obviously, I can write simply 2 times this one, right? Because you know it is just like a x square. X square, you are making a derivative. X square derivative means 2x dx. So similarly 2n dn, something like that I have written. So then this one will be cancelled. So I can write 2 times delta n by n. I can write like this. Okay. So instead of this one, I can write simply just some way we are trying to linearize. I can write like this. And I'll be, in course of time, I will be facing some additional function. So I'll be just discussing this first, and then I'll go to that, and then we will come to know why I am writing in this form. This one I'm just writing in this form. You see, we write 2 del, right, ln n. You see, I'm just considering ln of refractive index profile and derivative. That is actually gives you this value. Just you make a derivative, you can write this way. That means you are just writing this one in this form. Okay. So now again, this one means I know that this is del x, del y, del z. So if I just try to find out what is the value of this one, right? I can write ln n x y. This one I can write simply like this. Right? Del n xy del x. So if I have something like this, I can actually simply write down like this, because the refractive index is xy dependent. So this one, instead of this one, I'm writing this one. Similarly, okay. Same thing I can do for y direction, right? Del ln n xy divided by del y, that will be equal to 1 by n xy del n xy by del y. Okay, so these are actually two things. But if I just try to find out another equation, say with respect to z, so del z ln n xy, that must be equal to 0, because refractive index along z direction, it is not varying. So I know this. These are the information. My intention is to solve this one, these two equation. But all this thing, I am just doing some kind of pre-work to solve that. Okay, so let us move on. Okay, if I just try to assume that electric field is having, can be decomposed into Ex, Ey I don't know. In 1D case, I have just considered T and Tm, and then only Ey component was there for electric field, and for magnetic field, it was By component. But in this case, I don't know which components I need to consider as a dominant component. Let us consider that all the three components are there for the moment. And magnetic field also, I can consider it has just three components. As I mentioned earlier, all these components must be a function of xy individually. Their profile may not be same because they are related through Maxwell's equation. But individually they are xy dependent, but all of them will have a same factor. So this will be actually one thing that actually profile xy dependencies will be different, but the phase factor, it will be same for all. So this one will be all same. All the components, they will have this thing. Okay, so I will have 6 components, 3 electric field component, 3 magnetic field component. Each of them will have individual distribution of xy, but all of them, because they are mode, they are part of same same solution, they should travel with the same phase velocity. So we consider this omega t minus beta jet is something like this. Clear, right? Now, if I assume that these 3 components are there, and 3 of electric field and 3 components for the magnetic field. Now you see equation 1, you imagine. This is a vector equation. Equation 2 is also vector equation. If I express in Cartesian coordinate system, and if I remember that E has a 3 components, Ex, Y, Ez. So I can actually decompose this equation 1 into vector equation into 3 scalar equations. Okay, x component, y component, z component. When I am just dealing, I'm just finding this is a vector. It is something like that. Left hand side, if you see, left hand side, it is something like that. You have a vector, right? It's a vector equal to 0. Something vector equal to 0. So that vector, that's a total. Left hand side is I'm considering a vector. So that means it has a ax component, and it has a ay component. It has a az component. That is actually 0. A vector left hand side together, that can be a combination of many vectors. That is 0. That means individual component must be 0. That's why vector is 0. So if I just try to find out, first term, I just try to find out x component, and second term also I will find out x component. I add them. Third term I also find out x component. Then 3x component I add together, that must be equal to 0. Similarly, if I find y component, y component, y component from the 3 terms, they will be also equal to 0. Z component also will be equal to 0. So that means equation 1 is a vector wave equation. If I just component wise, I split them from the knowledge of vector, then I can actually find 3 different scalar wave equation. So I'm just writing down those scalar wave equation. You check yourself. And when I'm writing that scalar wave equation, I'll be using this concept. Whatever the things here I have written, these concepts are used in writing that equation. Okay, I'm just writing simply that equation because it is a bit lengthy equation, but straightforward. So first equation, if I write, maybe in this. Okay, I write here, that is, we'll see that how it comes. Del Ey del x2, sorry, del x component I'm writing first, and then del 2 del y2 plus omega square c square, right, and n square Okay, let me write in this form. Omega c square and then n square. N square is actually xy, right? And minus beta square. Okay, maybe write this bracket and ex. And then third term, that will be 2 times del x. Okay, ex del ln n xy. First is n, then xy, you remember, don't confuse. Del x and then plus ey del ln again n xy divided by del y. Okay, let me write a little bit smaller version, then it will be clearer, otherwise it will be mixed. Okay, so we have 2 times del x, only x component I am talking, ex del ln nxy divided by del x plus ey del ln nxy del y and close, that should be equal to 0. So from the first term, I have, this is the x component of the x component, this one I am getting, and from here, because that is del square is there, del square is there, so I am getting in the second term, and I am getting this one from the third term. That actually x component, just writing down the x component, I am getting this one. So if you just compare this, you can directly find from this one, I have x component ex del x2, it is there, right? And then for ex component, I will have, because ex component is, ex components can be x, y, z dependencies, right? And time dependency. Time dependency was, I have included the omega square here. So this is x, z, ex, x, y, z. So that means I can del square equal to del 2 del x2 plus del 2 del y2 plus del 2 del z2, right? So if I just consider x component I am writing here, x component I am writing multiplying here, x, and for x component when I am making a derivative with respect to z, that means you are supposed to get beta square. Okay, because this is the thing we know. So I have the 3 equations, and here I, from the second term, I am just taking only x component, y component, z component. I am just adding x component, and from here, you know, it will have 3 components, and this one del epsilon r by del epsilon r, you are considering this is actually xy dependent. So derivative of that one, you will have a x component as well as y component, this one, because you are making a derivative. This derivative you are taking, x component, y component will be there. That's why in the third term, you have both ex component and ey component will be there as x component. So from the third term, if you are extracting x component, electric field x component, electric field y component will also involve. Any doubt for this equation? So identical equation you can write for y component. This is actually same, but only del y. You have to write del y, and this one will be same, equal to 0. Okay, and then third equation you are supposed to get. So this maybe we can write equation number 3, and this is equation number 4, and I will have one more equation for z component. So z component is a bit better, simpler. Z, if I just consider, because third term you will not have any z component. Okay, this is your 0, 5. So you see we have all these three terms are there here, but third component, if you see third component here, because this has only x component and y component, because epsilon r is xy dependent, so only x component, y component will be there. So if I try to find out z component by taking a dot product here, that will become 0. So this is a little bit of vector algebra you have to use. So what I did vector wave equation decomposed into 3 scalar equation. Okay, these equations I'll be using little while later, but most of the time it may not be required for to solve all these things. Magnetic field vector equation, we can write also 3 scalar equation: Bx delta x2 plus delta 2 bx y2 plus omega square by c square n square xy minus beta square bx, and then you have minus 2 times, you will be writing, it's a little bit different because that is curl of curl will be there. So I'm just skipping that part. You can just verify whatever I am writing correct or not. This should be y. This should be y. Just you are taking x component, then del by del x minus del bx del y. That is actually equal to 0. So you have 3, 4, 5. This is equation number 6. Okay, and similarly I can write delta 2 by delta x2. It looks a little bit lengthy, but we don't need all these equations. I will explain. But you must know why we are just ignoring. So here you will be omega square c square minus beta square, and then by component and minus 2 del ln. So once you write one equation, other equation will be just directly you can think what would be the L. So here what will be there? There will be same thing. That is equal to 0. That is actually 7, equation 7. And then z component you write del 2 bz by del x2 plus del 2 bz by del y2 plus you have the same thing, omega square by c square n square xy beta square bz, right? And here only one term will be there, 2 delta ln, okay, delta ln n xy, and this is actually del z, and del bz by del z, that will be equal to, obviously del bz del z means you will be getting beta and so on, that will be equal to 0. This is equation number 8. So now you see,
But sir, in equation number 8, del log n divided by del log n del z, that should be 0.
that should be 0, yeah, that should be 0. True. Because this derivative is, yeah, that part will not be there at all. Okay, you check, verify that one. I have not put down that 0 in my note. You just verify whatever the value coming, you see it. If it is coming, so then it will be 0. That's true. Okay, but nevertheless we don't need to worry. All these equations will come to know a little while later. We can find out this thing. So we have all the 6 equations and 6 unknowns. What are those 6 unknowns? Ex, Ey, Ez, Bx, By, Bz. 6 equations, 6 unknown. You can easily solve numerically. Every point, whatever the value, you can solve. But you need not to solve all these 6 equations. Instead, if you can just concentrate on only these 2 equations, this equation. Suppose you concentrate on equation 3 and 4. Okay, these 2 equations you can get easily these 2 solutions. Ex and Ey, just solve these 2 equations, you get, because all are second order differential equation, right? And it is x dependent, y dependent, z dependent, all those type of things you are considering. So instead of solving all the second order differential equation, you solve first 2, and then how you will get Ez? You don't need to solve equation 6. Instead, you just start with this equation. You are assuming now that you know Ex, Ey. That means you know what is the value of Exy and what is the value of Exy. They can be different, right? These 2 are known to you. You got that by solving equation 3 and 4. Now I want to find out Ez in a simpler way. That is what I want to show. You start with divergence equation equal to 0, right? So divergence D equal to 0 means I can write divergence of n square xy times E, that can be x, y, z, whatever, that is actually equal to 0. Clear, no? So this will have x component, y component, z component, and you are taking dot product with the del operator, right? So in that case, what we write, but this n square I cannot write. Take this n square is nothing but epsilon r, and epsilon 0 I am just taking factor. That's a constant. Epsilon r, since it is xy dependent, we cannot take it outside. Okay. So if you just expand this one if you little bit expand, then what you get? You get del x n square xy ex plus del y n square xy ey del z n square xy ez, that should be equal to 0, right? And since you know this is, you are taking partial derivative of z, so this part is in like a constant, so only Ez, and if you just make a derivative with respect to z, you get minus delta j beta. So that will be actually equal to del x n square xy ex del y n square xy ey minus j beta n square xy ez, that will be equal to 0. So from this equation, if you see, if you know what is the value of x, ex and ey, then you can find out what is the value of ez. So ez xy you can find out that 1 over beta n square xy, right? 1 over j beta xy, and then del x n square xy xy plus, that is one term, and then del y n square xy ey xy. Yeah. So if I can solve exy eyxy from equation 3 and 4, I just multiply refractive index profile every point and make a derivative with respect partial derivative with respect to x and partial derivative with respect to. So you don't need to solve second order differential equation. Just first order derivative and some scaling factor that gives you Ez. So I don't need to go for third equation to solve. And once we know, now I know what is the profile of x component, what is the profile of y component, what is the profile of, I am solving entire cross section, then I am getting this thing. So differential equation, how to solve it, matrix method, you can use MATLAB program or whatever, you can get solutions. That depends on, because you don't have that refractive index profile in a well analytical form so that you can get a solution. You need to directly solve the Maxwell's equation using difference technique, finite difference technique, I would say. Okay, now once you know the remaining part is there, what is this value? Bx, by, and bz. These three components that we can get directly from the curl equation, other curl equation. We know that curl of E equal to minus j omega b. So all the components for the electric field I know. So I can find out x component from the left hand side, x component from the right hand side. I can equate y component from the left hand side, y component from the right hand side. Then I can get the solution for by. X component for z component for the left hand side, z component right hand side, I can get bz. So in this way, if I just solve, I get bx xy, that will be equal to j by omega del Ez xy del y minus del Ey xy del z. Okay, and by xy, that will be j by omega. Same way you can get, it will be del Ex del z, that is xy dependence, minus del Ez xy del x, and bz xy equal to j by omega del Ey del x minus del Ex del y, that is xy. So you know, normally whenever you are taking with respect to z, that means it will be coming minus j beta. So that you should keep. Here also, whenever you are making partial derivative with z, minus j beta, same thing. So here you have, you know, Ex and Ey. Ex and Ey, you know, then you are getting directly. So once you solve Ex and Ey, you can get all other components directly by solving just first order differential equation, just first order derivative. Okay, so this is the method. Actually, if you just go, you will be using numerical. I think soon we will be giving you the license to work on that numerical. So numerical, if you want to find a solution, field solutions, basically you are solving all these equations. Okay, and all these equations for a particular set of Ex, Ey, Ez, and Bx, By, Bz, you will, certain distribution, each of them will be there, and you will be getting a one solution for omega t for a particular frequency. This beta you will be getting beta z. So one beta solutions, one set of these 6 components, that is a mode. Another beta solution, that means that beta is something like a, you can consider as a eigenvalue, and all these are like eigenvectors. So you can form numerically some matrix equation, linear matrix equation, and you can treat them as a eigen value equation, and then you can solve eigenvalue and eigenvectors. And that is how normally all the numerical techniques they use. Even for numerical, they use this technique. They call it finite difference technique for mode. They call that is a mode solver. Mode solver. So they use actually these equations. They basically solve these equation where they define this value. Which value? They define only this value. N square xy cross section. You have to define the cross section, cross sectional geometry. Where is what refractive index? So you can get a matrix of refractive index every point, every coordinate, and you have to give that to your simulator. And simulator will use all these equations to solve all the 6 components at the same time corresponding beta value. So that is how mode solver works. Okay, numerical mode solver, that is how it works. And later on we'll see that for our understanding purpose, if you solve all this 2D waveguide, then you will find that a electric field components zero Bz. So these 4 components, if you just consider other components here, maybe Ex, right? And another is By. So all these 2 components, these components can be negligibly small, such that compared to other field components, you can consider them that they are equal to 0. Your solution can give that type of solutions you can expect from the solutions, right? You will find that Ex is negligibly small and By is negligibly small, so that your electric field, this electric field is in the YZ plane. So if it is, this is your waveguide, this is your waveguide, so this is your waveguide, and this is your, say, Y direction, this is your X, and this direction is your, sorry, I think I should sketch a little bit clearly. So you can write something like this, and this is your so-called Y, and this is your X direction, and this is the direction your Z. Okay. Now, if your electric field is in the YZ plane, base, it is parallel to the base plane, YZ plane. Ex component can be there, but maybe very negligibly small. And magnetic field is in the XZ plane. That means vertical plane. If your waveguide is there, magnetic field is in the vertical plane, and electric field is in the horizontal plane. If that type of solution set you get from your solver, then we'll call that is like a TE-like mode. If you get such a solution, even that case also, you may find that out of EY and EZ, this EY will be dominating. So that whatever solution comes, you have to accept. But most of the time, whatever conventional waveguide we use, you will find this type of solution where EY will be dominating, EZ will be negligibly small, EX will be close to 0. Similarly, BX will be dominating here, and BZ will be negligibly small, BY negligibly small, BZ also negligibly small. So that type of situation, if it is there, okay, normally it will be called as a TE-like mode. And if you get a solution something like opposite, that means you are getting something solution like EX 0 and EZ, where EX will be dominating, but electric field is in the vertical plane. Okay, and magnetic field is in the horizontal plane. So instead of earlier TE mode and TM mode, you were talking about only electric field is in the X direction or Y direction. That is how T and TM you were defining. But here plane you are considering 2D confinement. You are considering which plane electric field is there dominating, and which plane magnetic field is dominating. So By judging that, you can just define. That is our that definition we give for our understanding purpose. It's kind of nomenclature that we'll be calling this like a T-like mode. We'll be calling this like a TM mode or TM-like mode. So it will be like 0, By, Bz. Okay, then it will be, if these components are there, major components, then it will be called TM-like mode. It is not completely TM mode like 1D waveguide where we don't have any longitudinal component here. Here also additional longitudinal component which you cannot really ignore, but they are small, but you cannot ignore really. So in that case, that will be called T mode or TM. Somehow, if you get that is almost negligibly small, then it is nearly, you can say that it is nearly T mode. So instead of T mode, we just call T-like mode. And that type of solutions you normally get. Even for silicon waveguide, we will see that the fundamental mode, first order mode, the design we get such that you will be getting this type of situation. But if you find this EX component is not so negligible, that solutions also you can get. It is also nearly comparable to UI, for example. Similarly here, this BX component is not negligibly 0. Approximately, you cannot consider like that. So that is significant, equivalent, for example. In that normally we cannot call that as a T-like mode or TM-like mode. They will be calling as a just kind of hybrid mode. And normally we call them as a something EH or sometimes HE type mode. We consider hybrid mode. That means both electric field and magnetic field, they are equally sharing all the components region. So this is something what we get. This is our nomenclature. Whether we will call that as a T-like mode or TM-like mode or EH, that does not matter. As long as you are solving correctly your all the components and then say that, okay, this is my mode and these are the components. You may call it as a T mode, you may call it as a TM mode, that does not matter, but that is my solution. And that will have individual set, will have certain phase component, that means eigenvalue you will be getting for that particular set, omega t minus beta. So that particular set, and we can give some kind of indices, that is a complete solution for the mode. So that is how we can actually give full understanding. Normally it is very difficult because you see, you cannot just solve this vector wave equation considering some arbitrary refractive index profile. So we just define this vector wave equation. When I have a dielectric profile that is arbitrary, you cannot have certain kind of equation. They are actually technology driven, technology dependent. But you can numerically can express them as a matrix, that XY matrix. You can find out, okay, this coordinate, this is the refractive index, this X1, Y1, this is the refractive index. You can get some kind of matrix. That matrix you can numerically handle, and numerically you can solve your vector wave equation. Then you can get your eigenvalue equation from the matrix form, and then you can get your all the 6 components and your effective index or propagation constant. Okay, so once you understand that, we'll take that is granted. Okay, that actually you take, and then you can try to build upon that how this waveguide mode behaves if you little bit deform your waveguide. If you couple one waveguide to another waveguide, if you bring another waveguide near to that waveguide, considering this mode in your hand, mode solution in your hand, how it will behave. So that type of discussion will continue now onwards. That is called, that's why it is called semi-analytical method. Yeah? Can you hear me? I'm not audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay, fine. So I think today I want to stop here. I think it is already 12 o'clock. You might have some classes. So this is the take home message. You just think about all whatever derivations discussion we did today. That is very much important and heart of integrated optics. So 2D waveguide. I will not discuss any more how to solve modes, etc. Instead, I will be going for some device design actually based on that. Or yeah, I need one more class just to explain what is orthogonality condition. Okay, orthogonality condition for guided modes. That is very important also, that I will discuss, then I'll go for that. Okay. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
using MATLAB, can I design that these three instead of six, these two scalar differential
You
equation?
can solve. You can solve by yourself
Okay, sir.
using MATLAB program. And one of our actually MTech student, he developed this full vectorial method also. We do have that code also, but normally that's code. You need to consider some kind of boundary condition perfectly precisely whenever certain structure is there. So you need a very dedicated code, well programmed code, so that you get a more accurate results. And particularly whenever discretizing the cross section, how good you are discretizing, that actually where you need more smaller precise discretization, where you need bigger discretization, so that you can optimize all those type of things are there. So you can solve by yourself, but by developing this type of code and just develop some kind of software, and people are actually selling now. Yeah, we are using this Lumerical. They have this code basically, and that is more or less very well proven, and mm, most of the people in the world, they are using directly because it is available. Just you use your structure, and then you just click and then give me solutions. It will give in one quickly, very quickly it can give. If you don't want to use that simulator software, better you solve yourself, you develop your own software. That not a matter actually, not a big deal. Okay. I
Okay,
think
sir.
some comments are there. What is that? Oh, can hear. Oh, one of you can't hear. Okay, fine. So we'll continue tomorrow.